Okay, hello. There's nobody on here yet. I don't know if this is working. Oh my goodness. I don't think it is. If anybody is seeing this, please let me know if it's working. Okay, it looks like it's working on my laptop. So if anybody watches this, I was busy on another live stream, and then something happened with my Wi-Fi, and the connection ended. I'm sorry, I don't know what I did. Um, Shocking. Thank you, Barbara. I can see your comment, so it looks like it's working. Hopefully, I don't do the same thing again. And hopefully, everybody that was watching the previous one, I didn't lose everybody. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened on your guys' side. On my side, it said I was still streaming. On my side, it said I was still streaming, but then all of a sudden there was 0 viewers. And then I looked on my laptop where I have the chat open, and it said the live stream had ended. So, but on my side, it said it was still streaming. So I was just talking to myself here. So I don't know what was the last thing that happened on your guys' side. What was I busy saying when it cut out? And I have no idea what actually happened. I wanted to go and adjust my Wi-Fi, I think, switch to a different network, and then I think that cut the stream. Like leaving the stream on my phone, going to a different application is not a good idea, apparently. So if there's anybody that was watching then, yeah, tell me what I was talking about, or if I was busy answering somebody's question, or we can start afresh if anybody has anything they want to. Sorry, Elizabeth. Yes, please write your question a third time. I did answer your entire question, but I think it was after the live stream had ended. So, yeah, that was what confused me. Is half of your question came through, and then I was waiting for the rest of it, and I think the live stream had cut out or something like that. So, yeah, whoever's watching, let me know if you want me to repeat anything that nobody got to hear because I was talking to myself. Also, I'm not sure how good the sound is on these earphones. It's a cheap set of earphones that I bought in France because my earphones broke while I was traveling Europe. So I went, and France is not a cheap place for a South African. So I bought the cheapest pair I could find. And yeah, for my videos, I edit the sound because I've had so many complaints about my sound quality that I now edit the sound to be louder on my videos, and it seems to have worked because people have commented that the sound is better. But while I'm doing a live stream, you just get it as it is. So I'm not sure what the sound quality is like. Ideally, at some point, I would like to get some better equipment, but finances, you know. So let me know if I should talk like this. I'm not sure if my stream is working because I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing any comments. Okay, it looks like it's working on my laptop. So. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Linda. Good to hear. You see, I'm paranoid now. I'm like, I'm worried. I'm just out here talking to myself, and I'm not even gonna know. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, shoot. I'm not sure what exactly I was talking about, or any requests to talk about something, or any requests to. Okay, there we go. Elizabeth's questions came through. 3 years after COVID, have been working, and so all way, not 100, DNRS 1 year, different tools, 24/7 symptoms, sometimes new scary ones. My weak spot is getting afraid. It is not limbic. How did you handle keeping believe it was limbic? Well, to be honest, a lot of it had to do with. See, this is where meditation helped me a lot, was allowing myself to see my thoughts and my fears from a different perspective. Before, I'd done quite a bit of meditation work and read Angelo DeLullo's book, Awake, It's Your Turn, where he really helped me to see how getting bound up in thoughts and beliefs is really at the root of a lot of the problems that we face. That kind of stuff was really transformative to me because it eventually led me to see that there's just thoughts coming and going and emotions coming and going. And I really just need to allow it to be what it is without believing it. So, sure, coming to an understanding that a lot of this is nervous system related. If you've done the DNRS program, then yeah, limbic system they talk about a lot, or neural pathways in the brain getting kind of overused, and they talk a lot about cross wiring and that kind of stuff. Okay, sure, getting an initial understanding of that, but then being able to see doubts and fears from a different place. That I don't need to believe a fear when it comes up, but I don't need to fight with a fear when it comes up. So again, this for me was meditation was what I needed to have this space between identification with something as soon as it arises. So before this, I would identify with my fears and my thoughts and my doubts as they arose. That there would be a thought with a fear component saying, I'm scared that this isn't limbic system related, I'm having doubts, I'm having this, and then it's like, okay, this is what's coming up. Can I see fear as fear? It's got a narrative component that, yes, okay, there's fear, but this is the story behind the fear, that I'm afraid that if this isn't limbic system, I'm going to never recover. So that kind of a little bit of digging in can be helpful. It's like, what am I really afraid of here? Okay, I'm afraid that this isn't limbic system related. Okay, why am I afraid of that? Okay, because then I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to recover. Okay, why am I afraid of that? Because then I'm afraid that what I'm feeling right now is never going to go away. And I'm afraid to really let go of my control over my health or something like that. And then just working through what's here. It's like, what I'm really afraid of is this fear of kind of my own helplessness around my physical state. That this is what I'm feeling right now, and this is again where acceptance comes back into it. Is that this is what I'm feeling right now? Can I allow it to be as it is, and not identify with it? So that's for me. It wasn't about keeping any belief for me. It was about seeing belief and thought as just transitory experiences. That a thought comes and it goes, but it's when we get caught up in a thought. And this is kind of where the awakening process that I talk about comes into it, because it's a shift out of identifying with our thoughts, seeing that we are not our thoughts, that a thought can come and go, and it's a real problem only when I get entangled in those thoughts. So meditation and reading Angelo's book about thoughts, about beliefs, about thought identification, about emotion work, that was massively transformative for me, because it shifted my perspective on all of this, that I don't need to fix something and make it go away here. I need to change my relationship to thought. And that's where the acceptance work comes in, is that, yeah, this thought sticks around and becomes a problem because I'm fighting with it. I'm believing that it's real, and then there's another thought saying, I need to do something about this. And when we're kind of entangled in these thoughts, it's really tricky. It's really tricky. So meditation and inquiry and these kind of practices were really important to me. So I'm not sure how that comes across. Let me know if that's helpful, or if you want me to expand on that. Sankar, as a follow-up to my previous question, once you learn to accept the feeling of fatigue, how did the recovery start happening? Like, you started feeling more energetic all of a sudden, or gradually? I would say it was more of a gradual process. In this, no worries with being repetitive. It's good to clarify things, because again, I'm not sure how what I'm saying is getting interpreted, so it's always good to clarify. Um, how did recovery start happening? Like you started feeling more energetic all of a sudden, or gradually? It was really gradually. So this is kind of what I was kind of alluding to earlier, that once I kind of identified the things that were draining my energy unnecessarily, so distractions, being too caught up in intellectual distractions online, like a lot of stressful reading around news and getting caught up in intellectual debates and those kind of things. Um, that eventually I realized, okay, this is not serving my recovery. Sure, there can be a time and space for that, but my interest shift, and it was difficult to let go of. Like, this wasn't just like, yeah, cool, I'm done with that. It was a process, but letting go of those things and giving myself much more space to meditate, to do some yoga, to really work with things that were assisting my nervous system. And again, but what it really allowed me to do this was when my interest in meditation, it really hooked me, because I was like, wait, this is really showing me a lot about why I've been suffering my whole life. It's all about this identification and resistance. And then I was like, okay, yeah, I'm no longer going to fight this. I'm really, I've shared this on some of my videos and talks before, that in my mind, I eventually was like, well, I was really interested in Sam Harris's stuff around the mind and consciousness and meditation, and people would go on these like month-long retreats to caves, or like in ancient India, people go sit in a cave and study their personal direct experience of consciousness and thought and the mind voluntarily, because they were so intrigued to getting to the truth about who and what they were. That for me, I was like, well, I'm in this place and I'm suffering tremendously. I now know that the way for me to get to the root of this is to investigate deeply. So now I'm going to spend a lot more of my time going towards this. So I like to mention that, because that was kind of what allowed me to let go of things and put more attention towards this, because it was a much deeper interest now. It wasn't just like, this is what I have to do if I want to recover. It was like, this goes way deeper than just getting rid of my symptoms. There's some real deep stuff here, and this is actually what I've been looking for, even though I didn't know it. My whole life I've been looking for something to make me feel better, to satisfy me. And this was showing me how my mind was working, and why this seeking for a fix was part of the problem. And yeah, so I just like to mention that. But yeah, then the energetic shift was more gradual, in that a lot of the strain on my nervous system was starting to get processed, and my sleep got better, and my all of this acceptance work, as opposed to resistance, just calmed my internal state, and now I was able to push the envelope and gradually improve. And sometimes I have a setback, because things, as we do this deep inner work, we can now unlock a new layer of resistance that kind of was, we weren't aware of, and this can kind of set us back, or sometimes we'd have a trigger to something, and then there'd be a bit of a setback. So it was a gradual process, but at some point there was quite a big shift where it really clicked for me that, oh my gosh, I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my emotions. Everything is just kind of passed, and there's just so much more space to let things be. And this is often in spirituality what there's many different terms for it, but it's a real big shift out of identification with thought in the mind, that I am this kind of thought constrained individual. And if you do enough work like this, you can have a massive shift in your identity, and it can be massively relieving. So this kind of shift, which I struggle to talk about it, because depending on somebody's interest, it might not make much sense at all. But it was something that then led to just a vastly different perspective on all my struggle. That, thought can come and go, and stress can come and go, and there's something that's untouched completely. There's something that I was kind of completely overlooking in my experience all this time. I took myself to be the stress, the thought, the turmoil, the suffering, the small suffering individual who was being hard done by life, not realizing that I was missing out on the biggest part of my own experience. So I don't know how that comes across. And I don't know if that answers your question. So let me know. Um, yeah, but that's something that I feel like I have to include when I talk about this stuff because uh, it was a massive part of this for me was the deep spiritual shift, more just a shift in thought identification, realizing that. And this, I really like Sam Harris's stuff as an introduction to this. And then for me, Angelo DeLulo was the teacher that really clicked with me. His book is really good. So if anybody feels a little bit of resonance around this topic, um, yeah, you can check out Angelo's book, Awake. It's really powerful stuff. Be careful, it's really powerful stuff. So this whole process requires a lot of deep letting go of thought-based identities, which can be really challenging. A lot of emotional turmoil, a lot of um, stuff comes up. So, yeah. But for some people, it's just right what it's like. Oh my gosh, this is what I was looking for. I didn't even realize. For some people, it's like kind of lukewarm, like oh, this is kind of interesting, but I don't know if this is for me. And for some people, it's like I do not want to go there right now. So trust your instinct on this. Don't trust me. Trust yourself. You're welcome, Sankar. I still have some questions on this topic. We'll discuss one-on-one with you. Yeah, that's often the easiest. Is a lot of this is kind of relevant to somebody's personal situation. So often in like a comment or a thing, I can give my best answer. But yeah, maybe if we do a one-on-one, we can get into the thick of this more. So for sure, let me know. Linda, how do you feel about engaging with the news or intellectual debate stuff now? That's a good question. That's part of the integration phase for me with the kind of awakening journey is how do I now engage with the world through an authentic expression in that, okay, the whole journey for me involved a lot of, I like Angelo talks a lot about integration and disintegration, and there's different phases, and we really kind of have to go with where life is pushing us. And for me, the whole long COVID journey was a disintegration phase of letting go of all identity, kind of stepping back from my place in society and the life I thought I was going to live, and that kind of all kind of dissolving in front of my face, and then opening up to a different way of being. And then the integration phase, I feel like, is what I'm going through now, which is now how do I bring this back into the world? And there's still a lot of deep work for me to do, realization-wise and insight-wise, stuff that, if this kind of stuff really interests you, you realize, and this is where I really like Angelo, is he kind of shows how deep this process can go. There's still stuff to work through after an initial big shift. There's a lot to work through. Adyashanti, one of my favorite teachers, also says that a first awakening or that first shift is the start of the journey. You're now open to seeing all of the work that needs to be done, which can be really difficult when we're still in that thought identification. So that's for me part of finding my way through this now. It's like it is tricky, and I'm not quite. I'm still learning how to integrate this aspect of it. So for me, if I'll just share from my personal experience, I feel like there's more of a feeling towards, for a while I was quite not interested in that stuff. It was like, yeah, that's so thought-based. I can see that this is where so much suffering is in this intellectual debate, the news, and yeah, a lot of my interest isn't in that. It's more in what's happening directly in front of my face. What can I address right now that's causing suffering in me or somebody else? What resistance is there still in me? And there is still much to work through. What am I not seeing? Where am I still going unconscious? And in doing so, causing suffering for myself and others. And kind of, a teaching that really resonated with me was that the best thing that I can do because it's quite challenging to see how much turmoil there is in human society and how much suffering we are perpetuating in the world. Um, Realizing that the best thing that I can do is keep working through my own unconscious stuff, to keep waking up, to keep working through my own resistances, is probably the best thing that I can do, because we can see how human unconsciousness and resistance and emotional repression is what drives so much of this human conflict in the news and in debates and stuff. It's just all of this kind of projection of our own internal suffering onto other people, and this mind identification of me versus them, that I am separate from you and I need to protect my kind against your kind, and it's all this me, you, and realizing that, yeah, I need to work through all of my kind of sense of self, but then seeing where's the crossover, that there's often a pull back from an intellectual conversation where I'm now feeling that I need to try and engage more. Yeah, it's really just kind of a feel in the moment thing for me. Like sometimes I feel that I can't really have any impact here, and maybe actually getting involved in this is just going to be not helpful for anybody. And sometimes, like, I'm afraid of being really authentic and vulnerable, and I'm actually kind of going unconscious by not saying anything in this debate. So, but yeah, for me, a lot of it comes back to just doing the internal work of, there's still work for me to do, but being open to the integration aspect as well. That, maybe I'm afraid of really expressing myself. So yeah, I'm trying to find the balance on that. Like, but I really like what Angelo says and what I learned from him in that. You can really have a big impact on the world by being entirely present in what's happening here, and just keep opening up to being vulnerable, and not perpetuating more unconscious suffering, something along those lines. That it is an act of compassion to do the inner work, even if nobody ever recognizes it. You're doing it. You're doing it for yourself, because you realize eventually that you're not separate from all the suffering that's happening in the world. But all you can do is what you can do. I don't know if that was a complete ramble, or if that made any sense to what you were asking. I feel like I went on a bit of a tangent there. So let me know if that makes any sense at all. But I suppose the answer is it's complex for me. Sankar, great question. I've been keeping myself off of the news and intellectual debates on war in the Middle East, which is quite unlike me. Listening to Kyle, I feel that was a good decision. Yeah, and I agree. I feel like realizing where it's just a kind of heated discussion or distraction that's not really having any impact and causing you stress. Like for me, that was a really important part of the recovery, is when I said I was letting go of the things that were triggering stress in me. There was so much like this debate on Twitter and stuff about politics and religion and all of this suffering going on in the world, and I was so triggered by that, and realizing I was just kind of perpetuating this battle by getting involved. That it really has to come from a place of surrender. That even the people that are triggering me, they're doing so from a place of internal suffering, and how can I not contribute to this suffering anymore? And that can be challenging. So, yeah. Yeah, Linda, it's okay. I was interested, as I think you mentioned that earlier in your recovery, those were habits to avoid. So I was curious how you felt now on the other side of your shift. Yeah, so it's exactly as you say there. It's kind of now is the, for me, how can I, involve myself in things where I can have an impact, but also not get caught up in things that I can't have an impact on. So there is definitely more of a shift towards integration, but at the same time, realizing that a lot of stuff is out of my control, and a lot of the work I can do is still internal, but bringing that into a little bit more of an integration place. So, yeah, a kind of balance and experimental as well. Yeah, I do feel like I need to focus on putting myself. It's balance for me. I feel like I need to, in some areas of my life, put myself in challenging situations more, and realizing when I need to pull back and focus on internal stuff. So like going on a retreat, and then not just only going on retreats, it's like, now how do I deal with all the triggers in my relative world life, if that makes sense. Elizabeth says, I have not seen many success stories from people who live it. Lie. I'm sorry, Elizabeth. I feel like there's a typo there, or I'm not sure what you mean. Barbara says, thanks to you, Kyle, I experienced my first mind shift on June 8th after watching one of your videos. It's going better and better ever since. I'm so happy to hear that, Barbara. Good on you. Elizabeth. How hard it is to get a message finished before it flies to you. How about you? No worries. But yeah, I'm not sure what you were asking still. All right, I'm going to hang around for a little bit, but I will start. Yeah, I mean, I'll see how many more questions there are, but it seems like we're reaching a natural ending point, unless anybody has anything they would like to touch on, sit with, feel into, explore. Yeah. Okay, Elizabeth, your question came through. Beautiful. Okay, so you said you haven't seen many success stories from people that were in a state where they could work and so on and still get in balance. Have you? I have, but it is, yeah, often, and this is for me where it's really important to not focus too much on exactly how somebody else recovered. So it's really important to see how can you focus on your life situation exactly as it is, and focus on what needs to be addressed, and where can you put in some more time for meditation if you're really busy. That's the kind of relative level stuff that we have to feel into for ourselves, and how do I find my path through this based on my situation exactly where it is. And it's really important to not get stuck in beliefs saying that I can only recover if I have the life circumstances of all of these recovery stories that I've watched. Recovery stories are really helpful if we receive them in the right manner. That, okay, this kind of things help this person, but my situation is always going to be different, and I need to find what works for me. So yeah, maybe for somebody, if they doing too much work, then maybe they need to kind of find how to give themselves some more space to rest, to do this inner work. But I don't know what somebody's life circumstances are, so I don't want to say that. Maybe somebody has no choice, but they have to work. Like for me, it's really about you can find your way through this 100%. You just have to find what's going to work for you. So yeah, it's often quite challenging. I don't know what somebody's exact life circumstances is, but how can you apply what I'm sharing to your situation? What do you need to let go of? What do you need to, adjust? But really, just be aware of that belief that my life circumstances is not the same as this person who recovered, so therefore I can't recover. That's where I often talk about investigating beliefs, and these kind of limiting beliefs is what makes the difference between staying stuck and recovering. More letting go of that belief and realizing that recovery is possible. I need to find how it's going to work for me, because that's what I want to share here. Recovery is possible 100% for everybody, but how willing is somebody to let go? And you could face a lot of challenges. It can be a lot of uncertainty of not knowing exactly how recovery is going to play out, but opening up to the possibility of what do I need to shift? How is recovery? What do I need to focus on in my life circumstances? So this is where I like to work with somebody one-on-one. It can be a little bit more, we can dig into what are you focusing on, where are you stuck? But at the same time, that's not necessary. But yeah, it's really the key takeaway I want to get to here is take other people's recovery stories with a pinch of salt. Take what's useful from it, but realize that your recovery is going to be unique to your life circumstances, and that you can recover. Like life's not going to give you an impossible set of. It may feel impossible, and maybe that's going to bring up the really deep emotional turmoil that we need to face. That's what do I need to let go of, and what am I terrified of letting go. Yeah, let me know if that's helpful. Soggy biscuit. There are work activities that give me a brain fog when I do them. What is your advice? This is for me where balancing out like intensive activities that trigger symptoms with kind of meditation before or afterwards would help to kind of reduce the intensity of the flare-up during the activity, right? So if you have to do cognitive work and it's giving you brain fog, for me, if I meditated before and afterwards, or when I could, it would change how this played out when I was doing something cognitively demanding. But yes, I can completely relate to that experience, that sometimes the brain fog does build up and we just do what we can in that. And also for me, trying to, formal meditation was for me essential. But what it allowed me to do was kind of shift more into the present, which would help a lot to deal with the brain fog, or if I was getting lost in like murky state of mind. Okay, can I follow my breath for a bit? Can I, drop into the sensation of my body sitting in the chair or whatever we're doing? Can I shift my attention more into the sense of, sensation or the breath? And so this is where, doing enough meditation the rest of the time allowed me to have it gave me different tools in the moment when brain fog was happening. Just like, can I let this happen? But brain fog for me would always happen when I was getting too caught up in thoughts. I didn't know this at the time, but if I look back at it now, and if I look at my experience of it now, still, if I'm like lost in thoughts 24/7, it starts to get a little bit kind of muggy, where, if I can just shift my attention back into the body, back into presence, it's really helpful. So, I hope that helps. Okay, Barnbrack, thanks for your time and bravery. Unfortunately, I ended up on benzodiazepines at the same time as getting COVID. I'm pretty sure I have dysautonomia, and due to my condition at the time, was put on other medications. I can't distinguish between what is causing what, but my anxiety is unmanageable. Is there still hope? Crazy how much these changes throw you. I'm 46 and don't see how I can ever recover. Do you think mindset can really help despite comorbidities? Yes. So, firstly, I want to say that I do 100% believe that you can recover, that, but I understand completely that you're in a very difficult space. And I just want to say it's okay. It's okay if the thoughts are crazy. It's okay if there's a tremendous amount of anxiety. It can be, yeah. That's a challenging circumstance with dealing with the medication and the effects of all of that. On top of all of this, I would look into, a really good psychologist that can help just somebody to dig into this kind of stuff with, meditation. It can be slow progress, but we can shift the momentum 100%. Like these kinds of practices and shifts out of limiting beliefs and mindsets and becoming more aware of how our kind of thoughts are perpetuating the mental suffering and that kind of stuff. Absolutely. Often, and this is sometimes challenging, but often real intense suffering that seems so hopeless is exactly what we need to push us into these dramatic shifts. That's exactly how it was for me. Like I would not have gone down the rabbit hole in understanding how my internal state was causing so much suffering if my hopelessness was not so intense. But at the same time, yeah, we can be really in a difficult place where it can be helpful to have somebody who can kind of help us work through this stuff. So, yeah, I can't tell you exactly how this is going to play out for you, but I do want to share with you that there is hope, but that hopelessness can come up and that's okay. Doubt can come up and that's okay. Fear can come up and that's okay. And that's where, for me, the awareness of what is happening, but not identification with it. And this can take practice and time to realize, but yeah, these crazy anxious thoughts are just crazy anxious thoughts. The mind can go wild, but once we have this kind of shift in perspective that that's just the mind going wild, it is such a different place to live from. That I don't need to control the mind, that I don't need to fix my thoughts, that I don't need to stop my anxiety. Sure, there's a balance with this kind of stuff. Like there is stuff that we can do and that I would recommend doing, and that's why seeking somebody who's good with this stuff is helpful. But at the same time, not believing those thoughts. I hope that's helpful. Linda said, I ended up getting disconnected there, but thank you for your response to my question. Oh, sorry to hear that. Yeah, I hope you were able to, I don't know, maybe on the replay you can hear it back. It is always interesting to me to hear if there's a contrast of before and after recovery and how people or approach or experience the same things. Oh yeah, for sure. For me, there's like a 180-degree contrast in how I approach or experience the world now from before or after recovery. Like what my life was like before, this whole journey was like, yeah, just such a, everything changed. That's, yeah. So from my anecdotal experience, there's a big difference. Elizabeth, thank you. I will work on getting rid of my non-helping beliefs from my thoughts. It's hard being so alone in the process. Last question, can I listen to your meditations on YouTube without ads? So let's, yeah. With the belief work, I wouldn't focus too much on getting rid of beliefs because there can be some subtle resistance there that this thought is bad and I need to get rid of it. I need to fix it. It can be more a indirect process of becoming aware of limiting beliefs and realizing that this is just a limiting belief and I don't need to hold on to it. So just that kind of subtle shift in how we approach this can be important, because we can get stuck in resistance there, that I need to get rid of these limiting beliefs. I want to become aware of my limiting beliefs, so I can see what is keeping me stuck unconsciously. But I want to realize that I'm innocent for having this belief, that at some point this belief came upon me and I got stuck with it. But I don't need to fight with it. I don't need to judge myself. So I would just kind of add that in there, that this is why I always come back to a place of compassion. It's like I can realize, oh, this is a limiting belief that was there, that I was unconscious to, and now I can let go of it. But I don't need to get rid of it. It's kind of a subtle thing, but it can feel quite different in how we approach this. And yeah, so really just kind of opening, it's a real willingness to see. It's like, can I kind of open up to what might I not be, what belief might be keeping me stuck here? And yeah, I really like Angelo DeLulo's book. He's got a really good chapter on beliefs, which really clarified this stuff for me. So yeah, even if somebody doesn't go down the whole awakening path, his stuff on thoughts, beliefs, emotions is really good. So yeah, that's one way of doing it. And like journaling and that kind of stuff can also be helpful to see what is below this belief. It's like always below a belief, it was kind of to try and hide from something, in my own experience, that I believed this, and that belief formed to stop me from feeling this thing that I'm terrified of feeling, or to hold me back from this really intense emotion, but I actually now need to let go of that and allow myself to feel it. So that can be part of the process. It is hard being alone, but for me, that was also another belief, really, that I needed to let go of, in that I would also listen to recovery stories and be like, oh, this person, they had a husband or a wife that was helping them, or, everybody had somebody different. And for a long time, I really felt like through the deep periods, I really felt like, yeah, I don't have any, I did in a sense, but also at the same time, I realized that nobody could get me out of this. So yeah, it depends on somebody's situation, but allowing yourself to feel that loneliness and realizing that it's okay to feel lonely, that for me was key. I was so afraid of loneliness that I felt like, yeah, I need to get rid of loneliness. When I realized, yeah, I'm lonely right now, and that's okay. And I can feel sad about the relationships that I've lost during this process, and I can just allow myself to feel lonely. For so long, I'd fought that, in that, I need to improve my social life so that I don't feel lonely anymore. And then realizing this whole struggle was a fear of loneliness. So that's just something from my experience of loneliness that made a huge shift in, that eventually loneliness wasn't a problem. It just became a deep emotional experience that would pass on its own. And a relief to feel it fully. And often that would break down into, some whatever grief or sadness or nothing. It doesn't have to. But yeah, for me, there was a lot of repressed emotional material there. Can I listen? Sorry, I broke down your question into a lot. Can I listen to your meditations on YouTube without ads? So, unfortunately, I get this question a lot. Not unfortunately that I get this question, but I do get this question a lot. And unfortunately, I have no control over ads on my videos at the moment. To be honest, I didn't even know there were ads on my videos. I just upload a video and YouTube does what it does with it. And only once you have like 1,000 subscribers can you, I think you get access to those kinds of things where you can decide to put video ads at the beginning or the end of your video. So yeah, I don't get any revenue from ads, or I have no control over ads. So I'm thinking of trying to find something else to put the meditations on, but I haven't gotten around to this yet. So I'm thinking of starting like a Spotify channel where I'm going to put some of the stuff on Spotify, and then I know you can listen to it without ads there. Or eventually, when I get to 1,000 subscribers at some point, I will be able to edit that kind of stuff. But at the moment, there's nothing I can do about it. So I'll look into putting my stuff on another platform. Otherwise, I don't know if I'm supposed to be sharing this, but I know there's online tools you can use where you can download an audio from a YouTube video. So, maybe you could do that. Um, yeah, I um, yeah, but I'm looking into maybe putting some stuff on Spotify at some point. I want to do some interviews with some kind of people that help me through this process, but I don't know. That really depends on who would be willing to have the time to do an interview with me. But that's stuff I'm looking at doing, which I really would love to do. So I just need to find a way to make it all work. Yeah, there's also an app called Insight Timer that I'm just looking into if I can put some meditations on there, whatever. So yeah, I need to do some looking into that kind of stuff. But for now, I don't have an immediate solution. But I need to get my ass into gear and do something about it, because I get like a comment a day about the ads on my videos. Thank you, Kyle, checking in from the UK. Always good to listen to your experience and wisdom. Thanks for watching, Nikki. It's great to have you here. I always appreciate your comments. And I'm glad that you find my rambling to be helpful. I've been so solution focused. It's been strength in life. But I guess it is one factor that can get in the way now. That takes me to limited beliefs since I search for solutions and answers. That's a really good kind of awareness to come to, because I found that to be true for myself as well. That this is a different way of working through things. That it's not about intellectual answers and solving problems. That it can be limiting. Exactly. It's a real letting go, and it can be challenging to let go of something that has been a strength for us in other areas of life. Holding on to this intellectual solution, problem solving identity really served me, but now it's really limiting me. So this is more about a feel and a letting go process and a surrender into, I don't know the exact path here. I don't know how this is going to play out for me. I don't have the formula. I don't have the. It's a real letting go into the unknown, which we can be terrified of. But feeling into that terror around the unknown can be really beneficial and really transformative. So yeah, to do more work around that, that's a really good place to start, is realizing that, yeah, this is kind of getting in the way. I need to let go of my intellectual problem solving perspective and get into a more curiosity and innocence is beautiful in this process, because it really shifts our attitude towards things. And what if I don't try to solve a problem here? What if I just get curious around the innocence of this experience, that it's just an experience happening now, and I really don't know what it is if I let go of my thoughts about it. That I think this is this, but what is my direct experience saying? I think this symptom is bad and it's horrible and it's going to lead to this and it was caused by that. But that's a real intellectual narrative. What is actually in my direct experience right now if I drop past in the future completely? And then there might just be a pure physical sensation that could be intense. But if I just keep staying with the curiosity around the sensation, what is my direct experience of this physical sensation without interpretation? Without, oh, this is unpleasant, and because it's unpleasant, I need to get rid of it. So what if I drop all labels? That this is a symptom, this is unpleasant. What is it without a label? And this can take practice to do, because the binding of labeling can feel like Velcro. That at first we almost can't feel the sensation without the labels. It's like the sensation is that, and in my experience, they are one and the same. But if we do a lot of this deep work where we keep on coming back with a fresh perspective of curiosity, of I don't actually know what's happening in my direct experience, if I'm truly honest with myself and let go. And this is where inquiry is really powerful, is it's like, who am I if I don't reference a thought? And if we really do this kind of from an authentic place, it can be incredibly transformative. Or what is actually happening in my experience right now if I don't reference a narrative? If I don't carry on the storyline of I am coming into this exact moment with this whole story and these are my problems that I need to solve. What if none of that is available right now? What is there left to reference? And again, if we're used to operating from... Okay, am I live again? Technical difficulties. That was really not a beautiful time to disconnect. I was like right in really deep pointing, like really trying to give the feel of inquiry, and then the unexpected happened and the unknown took over. Yeah, I was just kind of inviting somebody to really authentically investigate your experience of any moment while letting go of conceptual interpretation. That I know what this is that, this is the concept I have for understanding that. When we really open up to this different perspective, it's like, holy shit, what the hell is pure reality if I realize all of that was just a thought? Who am I actually if I don't reference a thought? There's an experiential answer, but it's not in the way we used to. Oh yeah, so what I was saying, I think I got cut out, was this kind of investigation can be really frustrating for the intellectual mind because it really challenges it to let go of that problem-solving conceptual way of, because that doesn't work here. So it can be frustrating. It can bring up frustration as we're forced to let go of that way of seeing, as we realize that we can't answer these questions conceptually. So what is the answer? That's like a Zen koan. Okay. Bondback. Thank you, Kyle. You're a gentleman for answering my question. Your answer is so meaningful. Much love. You're so welcome, Bondback. I'm so glad that the answer is helpful. And yeah, much love to you too. I'm really glad that the stuff resonates. Elizabeth, thank you for everything, your inputs on YouTube and this. You're so welcome, Elizabeth. And thanks, everybody, for the participation. That yeah, you guys coming up and asking questions is a vital part of this exchange. So thank you for your guys' participation. Bondback, wishing you all the best the universe can offer. I have a deep belief your mindset will see you through, rooting for you. Thank you very much, Bondback. I appreciate your kind wishes. I really appreciate that. Alrighty. I think that maybe it is time to end off. That feels like a good natural conclusion to this this kind of interesting live stream where I had to do 2 different streams and I've disconnected, and yeah, I need to work on my technical setup. In which way did your personality change, Kyle, from before to now? Wow, that's an interesting question. In so many ways, in so many yeah, it's just this whole process that I'm talking about of identity shifting. There's just a whole different way of operating in the world, I suppose, realizing that everything that I thought was true about myself was such a limited perspective, and so much of the fear I had around living my life is not relevant. But at the same time, things are shifting a lot continuously for me. That deep realization process of seeing through the illusions of the mind. There's a lot of this. We're in a self-imprisoned cage by our own minds, and but there is a possibility to break free from that. And things, continue to shift for me as I find how to bring this kind of insight into the real world. So sometimes I shifted from trying really hard to be an extrovert, more disconnection. My Wi-Fi is testing my equanimity. What I think I got cut off saying there was, being okay with not needing to be somebody that I was always trying to be. I need to be like this, I need to be like that. And also learning to, there's just a lot more compassion, allowing people to be who they are. When we have these strong beliefs reflecting on ourselves, they project onto others as well. That I remember in my past relationships and stuff, I was always trying to change the person that I was in a relationship with, or even with friends and family. It was like, you should be this way, you should be that way. And it's realizing everybody's struggling, and the best gift that I can offer anybody is to let them be exactly who they are, and that can just lead to such a more authentic connection with somebody. In that, me saying I really cared about you, but wanting you to be somebody different all the time is not really authentic, and it's more of wanting you to fit in with my views. So I guess that's a big shift in my personality. I don't know if that classifies as personality, but just trying to operate from a space of, can I be not ruthlessly? Can I be really vulnerable and authentic, but at the same time allowing everybody to be who they are? It's a learning process. There's still relationships or interactions where I struggle to find the balance of not saying anything, letting the person be who they are, but then also realizing, when am I being afraid to express? And that's the challenge for me now. So I don't know if that answers the personality aspect, but what I will say is, the deeper we take this process, the more we allow our natural, authentic personality to flourish. So in the past, I was always so afraid of being who I am, or putting on these false personas to meet the expectations of the situation that I was in. So around this person, to fit in, I need to be this way, and in this situation, I need to be that way. Whereas as this process deepens, it's more of like, can I just be completely vulnerable and express naturally? And again, I'm still learning how to do this, but then the natural personality will come out more in that. In this situation, I'm actually more of an easygoing. I can, instead of people pleasing, I can be more authentic. So something along those lines. Okay, but I'm going to finish off here because my Wi-Fi is saying to me that it is time to end, because I keep disconnecting. I hope that answers. All right, Barnback, who wouldn't want to be your friend? I appreciate that, Barnback. But I don't know, maybe there's people that don't want to be. That's one more thing. That was something for me that I learned from Adyashanti that was really important, and I try to live this out more. And as I say, I'm still learning, but he talks about to truly be free in your own natural expression, you have to allow the world to be free in how they see you. So if that means you can't, really waking up and becoming more and more conscious, sometimes that's going to lead to more and more people not being comfortable you or not liking you. Adyashanti had some really good stuff on this that I'm not going to quote correctly, but this kind of um, acceptance that I need to allow everybody to accept me just as they are, just as they see me, and not that's real authenticity in that I'm going to be vulnerable and um, you're allowed to perceive what I'm saying however the way you want to. And that is real freedom, is letting this person see me exactly how they want to. So, yeah, I kind of got into that from who wouldn't want to be your friend. Often, as we become more authentic, if we can do this in the right way of compassion, then we can really, we don't need to have any enemies, but maybe, somebody doesn't like us for who we are, and that's okay. So, and that can be challenging. Really, it can be. For me, I realized how much unconscious conditioning there is around people pleasing and validation. And wow, sometimes it's really difficult to be authentic because I'm afraid of how this person is going to see me now, and that's the challenge. Is working through that. And it can be tough. But Adyashanti's book, The End of Your World, it's got some really good advice on this kind of stuff, on how to integrate your insights into the real world, and what are the places that people get stuck on this process. That, yeah, we can have some big shifts, but then if we're not willing to really let go, there can still be places where we get stuck. So yeah, that felt relevant to share. Thank you. Thank you, says Nikki. Thank you. Laurie says, thank you, Kyle. Really wanted to hear the answer to Nikki's questions about the personality change before and after. Only there's a great deal of sound breakup. Hope to hear more another time. Yeah, that's a real pity because I was noticing on my side, I kept on saying disconnecting, reconnecting, disconnecting, reconnecting. So I was like, I guess I better end this now because I don't know if any of this is actually coming through as digestible on the other side. So I don't know what it's going to look like in the replay, but probably maybe it will be there, or maybe we dive into this another time. But yeah, a pity. Thanks, Kyle, says Linda. Thank you, Linda. Always nice to have you on here. Alrighty, I think I will finally call it there before I get roped into another tangent and keep everybody here all night. Thanks everybody for joining for part 1 and part 2 of the live stream. I appreciate all of your questions. I appreciate all of your feedback, all of the people that participate, and I wish you all support and compassion that it will be okay, and good luck with whatever stuff you need to work through, and sending love to everyone. Alrighty. Okay, last question. Will I do a live meditation soon? I shall. I normally do them at the end of a live stream, so maybe my next live stream I will do one because I do enjoy them as well. So yeah, let's see. Maybe next one. Alrighty. Cheers.